Here in Cleveland for Sports Illustrated with Ben Golliver, I'm Michael Rosenberg. Golden State Warriors, you're NBA champions, a phrase that most Warriors fans thought they would never hear in their lifetime. How did they do it?
I mean, it was a team effort. I think Andre Igudala kind of summed it up best. He went right down the roster, and he basically gave everybody's biography, and he said this guy overcame a career-ending knee injury. This guy overcame everybody not thinking he was going to be drafted. Igudala overcame, getting benched, having to change his role, and he really just went right down the motivations for all these guys, and they all came together at the right time. They had the right health. They outlasted a Cleveland team that was really reeling and kind of ran out of gas. I think the big move was the switch to go small in Game 4. I mean, clearly that switched up everything, opened things up for Steph Curry. He got going. Now you've got mismatches. Igudala himself can find his offense, and they were just scoring from too many places for Cleveland, I thought.
Even in the stretches, especially early in games when Cleveland would jump out ahead, I just watched and I thought, Golden State's getting good shots. I can't remember an NBA team that as consistently was able to get good shots. They would turn down good shots for great shots. So unselfish, so many interchangeable parts. And, we're all talking about them going small and Bogut sitting the last two games. The fact that they were able to do that they had a guy of that ability who was so important all year that they could sit on the bench lets you know how they got here, because they could play teams with different styles. I mean, Memphis and Cleveland, but also, obviously, they played Houston, they played New Orleans. It didn't really matter who they played. Terrific team, all-around team. On the other hand, as LeBron said, they had good health, as though that was a skill. He sounded just a touch bitter about it at the end. We'll never know what would have happened if Love and Kyrie Irving were able to play.
No question. I mean, LeBron looks so dejected because I think he realized that this is another opportunity that slips through his fingers. He played, I think, the best stretch of his career through this postseason, the triple-doubles, the huge numbers, the high usage, all of it, and he didn't have any help. And he realizes that now he's going to be a year older coming back. He even kind of had a forlorn comment saying he would almost prefer to miss the playoffs sometimes rather than lose in the finals because of the wear and tear it puts on his body and because of the frustration of getting so close and falling short. Once he has a little time to process things, he realizes he'd rather be in the finals. But still, it's a heartbreaking loss for LeBron. And, they've got to figure it out for next year. Who's going to come back? Who's going to be surrounding him? And what pieces can really help him get that third title?
Yeah, and one thing that we saw with LeBron, earlier in his career, I feel like he was trying to please so many different people. We saw it in Miami. Obviously, he created these outsized expectations. You would have think that might happen when he came back to Cleveland. I don't think it really did. I think especially this run, he knew he was playing. He knew that he was doing the right thing for his team, and I think he was somewhat at peace with that. The question is, should he have been the MVP of this series? To me, the answer is clearly yes. I mean, he was the best player on the floor, the most valuable to his team. Yes, they only won 2 games. They would have won -2 games if he didn't show up. I mean, that was not an NBA Finals team without him. What do you think?
It was highway robbery. I mean, I think, honestly, you could look at his numbers and say he had a better Finals than every Finals MVP that's come before him. And when you're in that kind of a conversation, I think you should win it. The wins, to me, I mean, they pushed the series deeper than I expected, given the Kyrie Irving injury in Game 1. I mean, to me, it seemed like that had potential sweep or a 5-game series written all over it. Instead, they take command. If the Warriors hadn't adjusted, I mean, they could have really had Golden State, up a creek. Instead, LeBron was just sort of the one-man show. He did it all. Even Andre Igudala said, this is the best player on the planet after the fact, and that tells you really all you need to know. He had their respect. They give it to Igudala because he was the best player on the winning team. That's a pretty standard formula for that award. But to me, there was no question about who the most valuable player of this series was.
I wonder what Warriors legend Rick Barry thinks of a Warrior getting Finals MVP when they were intentionally fouling him to send him to the free throw line. Looking forward, though, next year, Golden State, 67 wins, won the championship. Young core, obviously, with the Splash Brothers. We assume Draymond Green will come back. He's restricted free agent. They're going to be right there. Cleveland, we don't know about Kevin Love if he's coming back. If Kyrie Irving's healthy, which is a bigger if every year with him, that team's going to be there. What do you think about next season?
No, it's hilarious because the confetti is still on the court right over your shoulder right now, and yet I'm already going to make my prediction for next year. I'm not sure how these teams don't get back. I mean, barring some crazy health situation, you look at Golden State roster, all their key players are going to be under contract. All they've got to do is re-sign Draymond Green. They have him in a complete situation where they're going to be able to bring him back if they want to. Maybe you have to trade a David Lee, who didn't really get a lot of time in this playoff run, to make that happen. But the core of their team is going to be back, and this was a really, really good team, an elite team on both sides. You look at Cleveland, all that really matters is LeBron is healthy. I mean, I think we learned that this year, as he can just torch through the Eastern Conference basically by himself, whether Kevin Love returns, whether Kyrie's healthy, like you mentioned. I mean, I think he's going to be back in the finals one way or another. He's been there 5 years straight, and I don't see a real challenger to prevent that from being 6. So it's very possible we get a sequel here between these two teams next year, and I'm not sure anyone should complain. I mean, I would love to see that matchup personally.
I would love to see that as long as Irving is healthy, even if Love does not come back. Other teams I look at, I really want to see Oklahoma City healthy. I think that team could be as good as anybody next year. The Clippers are going to be very good again. They don't have a lot they can do with their bench, with their cap situation. San Antonio, can they bring in LaMarcus Aldridge? We'll see what happens there. Houston's also going to be very good, but there's no doubt that these two teams are going to be right there. Cleveland has to hope Adam Silver sticks to his guns and never changes the seeding system to get them into the NBA Finals once again. But that'll wrap it up in Cleveland. Congrats to your 2015 NBA champion, the Golden State Warriors.